It was a big week for news on the political front, including now GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump announcing his running mate, J.D. Vance. But what would a Trump-Vance ticket mean for ag? And how did the assassination attempt in rural Pennsylvania change the tone leading into the RNC? That's this weekend's Farm Journal report.
Take a look at what happened.
An act of political violence shook the U.S. last weekend. An assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump on the grounds of a farm show happened in rural western Pennsylvania. Indiana farmer Kip Tom, who served as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations during the Trump administration, was in attendance on Saturday. He was sitting in the front row. Tom detailing what happened to AgriTalk's Chip Flory this week.
My mind quickly, as soon as I saw or heard the bullet, the gunfire, as soon as I saw the president go down, the first thing that flashed in my mind was the JFK assassination and just what all transpired after that and how our nation actually changed course when we went under Lyndon B. Johnson and just how the administration at that time dealt with the plenty of issues that our country was facing at that time. So this could have been big event, changing the pathway for our nation going forward in the future. But fortunately for the president, he's okay.
Larissa Ream, a dairy farmer in Pennsylvania, was also in the crowd. Her brother is a dairy farmer just down the road from the Butler Farm Show site, and she grew up showing livestock there.
They were asked to provide the equipment to kind of flank the stage for the president. We ended up being the second row directly in front of the podium.
Ream describes it as a hot day. And as Trump went off script, pulling up some graphics to talk about illegal immigration into the U.S., that's when things changed.
He had actually turned to look at the screen is when the gunshots started going off and everything kind of escalated from there.
She says the crowd stayed relatively calm, even though chaos had just ensued.
Everyone was kind of had this sense of like patriotism, like if they needed to, they'd jump into action if they were needed. And it's just kind of crazy.
Tom also describing the surreal scene on AgriTalk this week.
It almost feels a little bit like what 9/11 did. People seem more unified. When I watched the people leave where the rally was being held there in Butler, Pennsylvania, you saw people that didn't know any of the other ones there helping the elderly get out. They helped them with their children. And I'm telling you, today I'm up here at the RNC convention in Milwaukee, and you just feel the vibes of what it's like to see a unified party and how people are trying to make sure we make America great again.
Farm Journal Washington correspondent Jim Wiesmeyer also noticing change in the tone and demeanor of Trump.
I remember former President Reagan saying, when he was attempted assassination, it changed his life. And I think it will Trump. And he's already changing his tone.
But the biggest news coming from the RNC happened earlier in the week. And that was when Trump picked his running mate, J.D. Vance, a 39-year-old Republican senator from Middletown, Ohio.
And so tonight, Mr. Chairman, I stand here humbled, and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to say I officially accept your nomination to be Vice President of the United States of America.
Vance, a Marine Corps veteran, author, and entrepreneur, has only been in the Senate since January of 2023.
That could hold him in good stead, by the way, because he's a non-politician.
Not a career politician, he was an author before running for office. And Wiesmeyer says when it comes to policy, he's a nationalist. Raised in the Rust Belt, Vance believes in bringing more manufacturing jobs back to the U.S.
When I was in the fourth grade, a career politician by the name of Joe Biden supported NAFTA, a bad trade deal that sent countless good jobs to Mexico. When I was a sophomore in high school, that same career politician named Joe Biden gave China a sweetheart trade deal that destroyed even more good American middle-class manufacturing jobs.
But when it comes to agriculture and trade, Wiesmeyer says Vance is more aligned with Bob Lighthizer, who was the previous U.S. trade representative under Trump.
Definitely he is a tariff. He's for the tariffs. That's his America First tag. And so I see him in sync with President Trump. And there's some concern there on the part of the ag sector of what that would mean on retaliation, also what it would mean to China. I quoted a UBS report this morning saying it would be a significant drawback for China's gross domestic product. So, but they're not going to flinch. Trump and Lighthizer and now J.D. Vance, if they get in, you're going to see tariffs, period.
Wiesmeyer points out Vance received the Friend of Agriculture Award from the Ohio Farm Bureau, and he says that tells him that Vance is more aligned with many of Farm Bureau's principles and priorities. But as someone who is not a career politician, he says Vance is also willing to work across the aisle.
He is bipartisan in spirit and has some strange bedfellows. Elizabeth Warren he has worked with in the anti-corporate area. So that's his nationalist coming out. He's doesn't like a monopoly or a monopolist tone for any firm. So he's allied with her on that. He applauded the appointment of Khan in the regulatory area. Lisa Khan, which will surprise a lot of people.
Now, the Democratic National Convention will be held from August 19th and will run through August 22nd. We'll have coverage on that next month. Well, when we come back, Ukraine seized a vessel of looted grain. That and other headlines from around the globe are next.